Well, let's talk about the IRS and Obamacare. Now, there's a combination for you, and our special guest on the phone right now is Michael Vilardi. He's he is a former retired IRS criminal investigator. He left that position in 2010. He holds an undergraduate degree in accounting and an MBA in management. And he is the guy that helped us understand the tax truth about Obamacare. Michael, nice to have you with us, sir.
Hey, great to be on the show.
Boy, there's so many questions there. I should have you for about 3 hours, but I'm going to try to squeeze things in here real quickly. What is the tax truth about Obamacare and the hiring of all these extra IRS agents to enforce it?
Well, okay. First, there's 18 new taxes in Obamacare that are going to affect everybody. Every single person that has a W-2 is going to get a pay cut starting January 1st. All right, because the first thing Obamacare does is it increases the Medicare tax by 1%. Those 18 taxes basically are going to kill the economy one way or the other. Yeah. There's taxes on everything from if you sell your house. There's a special tax that's 2.8% that's going to affect you. There's going to be a tax on the medical manufacturer, equipment manufacturers. So people that sell medical equipment like X-ray machines to hospitals, they're going to have to pay a 2% tax. There's going to be taxes to the health insurance company themselves. They're also going to be required to give you a refund if they don't use all your premiums on your health care, which means they're going to get hard hit for the people that use a lot of medical insurance. There is going to be a Cadillac tax that's going to start in a couple of years. If you have a really good health insurance plan, the government's going to charge you a 40% excise tax because your plan is really good. So it's just loaded with new taxes.
All right. So what could a President-elect Romney do from the time that he's elected and inaugurated on his first day of office? What could he do to eliminate those taxes, if anything?
Well, he has to repeal it, and if he can't get the numbers to repeal it, then he has to defund it. That's what has to happen. Because
what if he gave everybody?
Obamacare,
what if he gave everybody a waiver, a universal waiver?
Well, something like that would work. I mean, it's just an economy killer. That's what Obamacare is. It's an absolute economy killer. In addition, there's stuff in that bill relating to microchipping newborns, and there's a lot of stuff in there that really is that snuck in under the wire that's going to be very detrimental to everybody here in the country.
All right, I'm a small business operator, and if I decide not to do the Obamacare and I don't have a waiver, is it cheaper for me to pay the penalty than to go through with it? And what would you do as an investigator coming after me?
Well, they're not going to have investigators coming after you. What they're going to do with the IRS is this: if you don't have health care, what's going to happen is that you're going to get a bill in the mail. And what the IRS is doing now is they're setting up their computer system because to look on the W-2s when they receive the W-2s, so that to see if you don't have health insurance, they're going to send you a bill. That'll be starting in 2014. It's kind of like what's called the core order or correspondence audit. And you will respond to the letter and say, well, no, I do have insurance, and here's proof of my insurance, and send that back to the IRS, or you're going to pay the bill.
And if I don't?
And if you don't pay the bill, here's what happens. Then any refunds that you were to receive in the future, what the IRS would take to pay the bill for you.
Where would I get a refund from?
Well, you could simply get a refund. Let's say you're low. Most of these people, most of the people affected by this are going to be low-income earners. So most of them get what's called the earned income tax credit. Okay. Now, with the earned income tax credit, the government will give you a credit, and you don't have to have paid taxes. So a lot of people, this is a tremendous boon for them. At the end of the year, they get it's almost like a welfare type thing, where the government gives them somebody else's money in the form of this tax credit.
Wow. All right, so you're saying that January 1st, if it's not repealed or defunded or something happens by executive order, that the average paycheck's going to get hit by at least 1 or 1.5%?
Actually, it's going to be more than that, because we're also going to, if the Bush tax cuts expire, there's also a payroll tax cut that's included. So we're going to see at least a 3% cut across the board for everybody that gets a W-2.
How come we haven't heard that part? I mean, that is significant.
I'm wondering when Romney is probably going to make it an issue during one of the next 2 debates.
Okay, because this is just unbelievable. So, is it true that the IRS is hiring all these thousands of agents?
Okay, here's what happened. In 2009, President Obama gave the IRS $640 million. At that time, they did a big hiring. Pretty much since then, they've been stagnant. Now, my understanding is initially they wanted to hire more people for this, but Congress didn't go along with the funding, okay?
Uh-huh.
So how they're setting it up instead is they're going to use what's called the core audit system. So instead of sending agents out to bang on your door and stuff like that, you're going to get a letter in the mail. And the letter is basically going to say, according to our records, you don't have health insurance. And as a result of not having health insurance, you need to pay this mandate penalty of whatever it's going to be, depending on the income that you've had. And the average penalty is going to be about $695. Okay? Mm-hmm. So you are then going to have the opportunity to respond to them and say, hey, listen, I do have health insurance. Here's my copy of my medical insurance card. And they'll then take off the penalty. Or you're going to have to pay them. If you don't respond to them, you're going to have this bill sitting in your file. And when you go, like I said, if you were to apply for the earned income tax credit or you get some sort of refund from money that was withheld from you, they will keep that money.
All right, so what's stopping the IRS from the tactics they've used before, where they can tap into someone's bank account and seize their assets?
Well, what's supposed to happen under this is you're not supposed to incur any penalties. You're not supposed to receive any interest on the money. And they don't want to use aggressive tactics because obviously that's not going to look good for the administration. But what will happen is probably at some point, an outstanding bill of 2 or 3 years, the government needs money, they'll start the collection process. So.
Okay. There was a point back several years ago, Michael, where Congress began to look into IRS abuses, and it seemed to get a lot of traction. Then it just disappeared. What happened with all of that? Because we know that some of these abuses are still occurring.
All right. Let me tell you what happened. Let me just put this out there also, if you don't mind. I have a website. It's www.MikeVilardi, VILARDIEA, MikeVilardiEA.com. I'm now an enrolled agent. I represent people of IRS issues. You could also call me at 888-873-8825. My specialty is making sure the IRS doesn't abuse my clients, okay?
Okay.
And let me tell you why that is. Because a CPA or a tax attorney really doesn't know the stuff like an insider like myself does. And I'm going to explain to you what happened with all that.
All right, I got 2 minutes. Go for it. 2
minutes, okay. Back in 2000, back when President Clinton was president in 1999, there was a hearing, an IRS hearing. What had happened was this one woman was a waitress. She got fired from her job. She was pissed off at the employees. She went to the IRS and she made up a bunch of BS. Basically said they have double books, they have all this stuff. The IRS goes in there like gangbusters, and they basically put them out of business, and these people never did anything wrong. And there was case after case after case like that. So Congress said to the IRS, please defend yourself. The IRS says, we can't. Now, the reason the IRS couldn't is because of what's called the disclosure laws that were put in effect after Vice President Agnew had to plead no contest to an IRS tax evasion charge. And they were not able to say anything, disclose any of the information on these files. So Congress then passed a group of laws called Section 1203B, which were signed into law by President Clinton in August 1999. And those laws allow you to, if an IRS agent is abusive, they can be fired, they can lose their job. But the only ones that know how to get a 1203B investigation started is really former employees like myself. Okay? That's why I kind of specialize in that. Because if an agent does go over the line or goes too far or, does something they shouldn't do, those laws are still on the books and they're still enforced.
Okay.
It's just that they've been forgotten about.
Okay. Well, I got to have you back. In the minute that I have left, is it true that when you are battling the IRS and some of these penalties and back interest, that those are negotiable numbers or not?
Okay. As far as interest goes, it is statutory. What that means is if you owe the IRS money, by statute, you have to pay them the interest. And if they owe you money, they have to pay you the interest. However, if you don't actually owe the tax, then you can get rid of the interest. The penalties are abatable. There's a form that you fill out to abate the penalties. So the penalties can be removed, but the interest is much tougher.
All right. All right. So anyway, Michael Vilardi.com or 888.
No, Mike Vilardi, EA.com.
EA, scars me. Michael Vilardi, EA.com or 888-873-8875. Thank you, Michael, for being with us. We'll have you back.
Hey, thank you so much for having me.
All right. Well, there you go. Some issues concerning the Obamacare and the IRS and taxes. Oh, boy, is there another reason why we should vote for a change in the White House? There's a big one right there. All right, enjoy your day. We'll see you next time on Focus Today.